The non-conference matchup between NC State and the Dirty Feet in Greensboro will not just be a 1-year deal, it's a 2-year deal. What do we make of this?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Our Thursday show is brought to you by KALSHI. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. That's code Locked On, LOCKEDON, on the KALSHI app for a limited time. Trade 10 and get 10 in return. Happy Thursday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. A lot of stuff going on here for our Thursday show. We do have some non-conference basketball news with NC State and the Dirty Feet. We have some quick updates on the end of fall camp, morphing into the beginning of game preparation. And of course, we were told that if you sign an NFL contract, you could not return to college. Well, on Wednesday, we have sources saying the complete opposite. We'll cover that to end. Basketball on the hard court. NC State and the Dirty Feet in Greensboro. This was reported back a couple months ago that they would be playing a non-conference matchup in Greensboro because the two will only play yet again once inside of ACC play this coming season. Of course, this is an effort to try and preserve some tradition. We all know in this state what it means when these two schools square off on the hard court. People want to see it more than one time, especially when you beat them by 24 points and you hear about, well, we're missing our best two players, and that's just not fair, and this is an asterisk type of game. Okay, well, we're going to play you twice now, once in the ACC and once in the non-conference fashion. So December the 15th, that is now confirmed in Greensboro Coliseum, but that wasn't the only news. This is a 2-year deal, Kenton. A 2-year deal. They're going to play in Greensboro this year and next year. Both will be non-conference matchups. What do you make of this 2-year deal?
You know, Grayson, what I make of it is this is two teams saying, hey, this rivalry needs to persist. It needs to be a thing. This needs to be 2 times a year. And what I think more than anything else is this is a great thing for not just NC State and UNC. It's a great thing for college basketball. As we lose regionality because conferences are shifting and somehow Rutgers ends up in the same conference as USC, and we end up with Cal and Stanford in the same conference as NC State, there still has to be some form of, you know what? I really don't like those guys over there. They really piss me off. And so this is a big emphasis on that. I like everything about this. There's only one amendment I would make. Just make it a home and home, just like it's always been during the regular season, right? Just because the ACC isn't mandating it doesn't mean that y'all can't just be decent about this and say, hey, whoever's house we're playing at in ACC play, the out-of-conference game is at the other's house, and that's how we get this thing done. You know, I think that's fairly simple. I don't think that's something that's confusing or should require major logistical lift. I think this is a situation where, like, Greensboro is cool. Greensboro is cool, but Greensboro is farther from both of these schools than they are from each other, if I'm not mistaken. Why? You know, like, why not just say, hey, we come to your trap, y'all come to our trap, we make it happen. Let's do it.
I definitely agree. And, you know, the intensity of these type of games would be exponentially more fun on campus. And I have the same take in college basketball that I do with football. I don't love at all the way that we're getting all these neutral site, non-conference, whatever conference. We don't know what conference, but we're going to play you in somewhere across the country. I don't love it. Of course, we all understand that it comes back to the financials. That's why they're doing it, whether it's sponsorships for the game or the series like this one will be. This series with the Dirty Feet will be called the Tobacco Road Classic, and it will be sponsored by Old Dominion Freight Lines. Put a pin in that for just a second. But this, of course, would be way better if it was a home and home. My other take on the subject, Kent and I almost wonder if this is like a soft launch, that if these two schools are to get split up in future conference realignment, which has been talked about here and there, but I guess the heat is starting to turn up slightly in the background. If the two schools are to get split up, if they can preserve this type of event, it kind of says that we will play each other at least once, no matter what, every single year. And so I understand, I think, the creativity behind creating this. It makes a lot of sense financially, of course, too. The cancellation with ECU that led to accepting this game with the dirty feet, it was in large part because we can make a whole lot more money, play closer to home, you play a rival. It does make a lot of sense on paper. And my third take on the matter is, what about the Big Four? What if we also loop in Duke? We also loop in Wake Forest. You bring back something that everyone wants to see, and you make this the Big Four tournament. This might also be kind of a soft launch for that. I wouldn't be shocked to see that return as well. But I'm with you, though. I think this should be just a pure home and home. You play us in Raleigh, we'll play you over there in Dirty Footville, and it'll be intense as it always is. But Greensboro is historic, obviously, for the ACC and ACC basketball. I get that angle, of course. Yeah, I'm with you. I wish this just was home and home.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, at the end of the day, I'm glad that these teams are deciding to preserve rivalries. I'm very excited about that because, again, I think that that's what separates college sports from professional.
100%.
That's what separates it. It's a different thing. It's not like I grew up a Lions fan, obviously. All of my Detroit teams, I'm a fan of all of them. I can't name you one rival of those teams that we hate as much as I hate the Dirty Foot Club. I can't name you one. Even with the Malice at the Palace, even with the Phantom face mask call that got Aaron Rodgers a second chance to throw a Hail Mary that ended up being a Hail Mary that beat the Lions and I believe knocked us out of the playoffs that year. Even with those things happening, it's still not the same. It's still not the same. So, that thought of like, we really do not like you guys. There is nothing about you that we're like, oh, this is fine. You all are cool in this way. That's what makes college sports. We've already made it. The fact that guys are getting paid is not what takes away from the college part of it. The fact that guys are getting paid and willing to trade to those rivals is makes it weirder. But rivals not playing each other. Rivals having only one opportunity to see each other in basketball. It's just sad.
I'm glad you brought that up, too, because the press conference that they had on Wednesday in Greensboro, the new head coach of the Dirty Feet, Mike Malone, he said that he basically had to read up on the rivalry between UNC and NC State to try and understand what he's walking into. And he said, the rivalry goes back years upon years upon years. And this past season, when we only played them once, it was the first time, I think, since 1919 that we didn't play home and away. So it's definitely a groundbreaking shift between this rivalry. And so that's why it is a good idea to try and play each other twice. Again, I respect the creativity in getting this done to preserve this rivalry because you hit the nail on the head, as always. This is what makes college sports. And Mike Malone also kind of hinted at that. He says, you don't really get this in the NBA. He spent the last however many years in the NBA. And yeah, they try and manufacture stuff for TV viewership, but it's not like this. It's not like NC State UNC. It's not like Ohio State Michigan. It's not like the Red River rivalry. Nothing in the professional leagues holds a candle to anything at the college level. This is real hate. You got neighbors in the state of Alabama. One roots for the Tide, one roots for the Tigers. They will not look at each other, and they share just a fence line. It's the real deal, and that is what makes college sports the best. Yeah. And so to preserve this game, to slap a title sponsor on it, I'll bring that back in the equation now. So Old Dominion, the freight line, they will be the official sponsor, and the game itself will be the Tobacco Road Classic this year and next. It makes financial sense to do this. It makes rivalry sense to do this. The fans that are in the state of North Carolina, it makes sense to serve them in this way. So I'm glad this is getting done. I'm glad it's more than just a one-time flash in the pan type of thing. I mean, if it does go the way of we get split up in conference realignment, preserve this so we can see them at least once every year. Because football, of course, is much easier. It's different from basketball. You can do Kentucky and Louisville. They play each other every year in football. Georgia Tech, same thing. I would imagine if it comes to that, we'll just play UNC like we always do. So football's fine, but basketball is a different story. For the ACC to break that up, and we only saw them one time last year, I'm glad this is getting quickly corrected, in my opinion, that we do, in fact, see them twice. Coming up next on Thursday, we have some fall camp bits. We're just going to read some quick-hitting quotes and give our initial gut reaction thoughts on those. Some from Coach Dorn, some from Joker Phillips. We'll let you know what we think after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Thursday show sponsor is KALSHI. Before the season even kicks off, everyone, and I do mean everyone, is making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On KALSHI, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade predictions in a live market. If you're taking CJ Bailey to get to New York City and win the Heisman Trophy, the odds right now are blasphemous. They are preposterous. They are astronomical. If you're feeling froggy and you might want to take that jump, you can make some serious coin if CJ Bailey finishes with the season of a lifetime. Or maybe you're feeling a little less froggy, but you want NC State to get to Charlotte and play for an ACC title. A lot of value in that right now as well. On KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, which means, of course, there's no house. And as the probabilities change, you can buy in and out of each of your positions. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more today on KALSHI. Download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 back when you trade $10. KALSHI, KALSHI, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. KALSHI products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, kalshi.com/regulatory. Middle portion of our Thursday show. How about some quick hitters for the end of fall camp heading into game week, 9 days away from kickoff up in Charlottesville, week 0. Kenton, how we're going to play this one, I'm just going to read you some quick quotes, like 1 to 2 lines, most of which coming from Noah Fleischman on Twitter. Dave Dorn was interviewed today. I think Joker Phillips was interviewed yesterday, I believe it was. Those quotes come from IPS. Just a couple lines. We're going to give our initial gut reaction thoughts to said quotes. So first one here, Dave Dorn said today that, quote, Rico Jackson will play a lot for us on the O-line, unquote. Your initial thoughts there.
I'm not surprised by this because last year, if you do recall, Spike Soles wasn't the guy that was starting to start off the year. He was getting some auxiliary snaps, and then next thing you know, it was like, all right, you're in, dude. Make it happen full time. And he, never looked back and continued to make plays. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they're using an extra offensive lineman. That's not a shock to me at all.
It is pretty standard, but I do agree with you. It kind of feels like they're using the Spike Soles playbook from last year. Rico Jackson has a lot of positional flexibility, meaning he can play both guard and tackle. And so to have a sixth guy that you feel really solid about, that can go a long way in trying to keep guys fresh, keep those legs fresh, give a guy a breather for a play or two. Rico Jackson come in, come back out. It makes life a little bit easier in terms of like the wear and tear on your offensive line in any given game. So I think that'll be beneficial to have Rico Jackson as a full go. Next quote from Coach Dorn. He says, quote, I'm really excited about the defensive tackle and nose guard position depth right now. He also noted that defensive tackle A.J. Prim was playing better than anybody in the first week of camp, unquote. Your thoughts there? I'm intrigued
because that defensive tackle position, both of them, both the nose and the 3-tech, were things that we were looking at like, who's going to be your guys? Who are going to be your guys? Beyond the starters, who are going to be your guys? And so to hear that the defensive line, particularly the interior defensively, is stepping up, this pleases me. This very pleasantly surprises and pleases me.
This sounds potentially like just what the doctor ordered. Obviously, we know about JoJo Victor, expected to take a pretty sizable step forward this fall. Katron Evans is now eligible for at least game 1. Coach Dorn said they're really excited to play him. He's a big physical presence in the middle. Hopefully they can get a lot out of him. But A.J. Prim at defensive tackle, he's the name that kind of comes at a surprise here. Not to say that he wasn't on anyone's radar, but we had question marks. Who's going to step up in the event that we are a little bit thin there? If he's playing better than anyone, at least for the first week, then he's showing capabilities of taking steps forward. So that seems like a great step in a positive direction. You have at least 3 guys that coach is, quote, really excited about. We'll certainly take that for the time being. The next quote here is that tight ends Hunter Provience and Preston Douglas are the top 2 going into the fall. What are your thoughts here? No Vander Plug.
Well, don't tell that to my college football 27 roster because that man has won 3 Mackeys back to back to back. But
3 of them things.
3 of them things. And he didn't go to the league. He stayed loyal to the soil. Love that for him. But with that being said, I mean, at the end of the day, we were already questioning coming in, who's going to be the guys. This is not a moment like, oh, Will Wilson announced a starting quarterback, where it's like, wait, what the hell is going on? It's much more of a, oh, okay, well, that's good to hear. We'll see what they got.
Yeah, these are two names that we'd kind of already factored in to be in the rotation regardless. Hunter Providence is your big, like, Cody Hardy type clone. He's the transfer from Montana State, big physical guy, great in the run blocking game. And then Preston Douglas is more of the pass catching type tight end. You saw him very briefly at the end of the season in the bowl game against Memphis. So sounds like those are going to be your top two guys, at least in the beginning of the season. We'll see if maybe Vanderploeg can work himself in the rotation at a later point. But sounds like those will be the two tight ends as we prepare for UVA. Next batch of quotes here. These will come from our wide receiver coach in Joker Phillips. He was saying, in terms of wide rotation, they might have to play a lot of everyone. They don't really have a set amount of guys they're looking at right now. He said, I know they played like 5 to 6 people last year. They feel like they have maybe 7 or 8 guys that can contribute this year. What are your thoughts on that, Kenton?
Joker, I'm saying this as peacefully and as kindly as I can. Shrink that damn rotation. 8 is too many. Who do you think you are? The San Antonio Spurs in like the late 2000s, early 2010s? 8 guys is too many when you do a very simple math equation, okay? Base formations for NC State, for the most part, when you think of what they'll most commonly be lined up in, you'll be looking at 3 receivers. If you're looking at 8 different guys that can all go, you're looking at least 2 entirely different, lines of guys, which would take you up to 6. But now you still got 2 more dangling somewhere. And I know some people would argue, well, maybe we got more slots or maybe we got more outside receivers. The numbers are still the numbers. Math is still math, everybody. You cannot run from math. If it is 8 players that are going to be playing, that de facto means that even if you do it in line shifts, even if you do it subbing players in and out, at some point in time, you are going to run out of, hey, I'm taking away plays for my best players for guys who they look good in camp, but they might not need to be on the field this year. This is not their moment. You're going to run into that problem. Stop it. Shrink that rotation. You should have 5, maybe 6 tops. And 6 is like, I'm Ohio State's receivers room. But even with them, if you go look at the stats that Ohio State's receivers are producing, you're not seeing 6 guys that are playing consistently. It just doesn't work that way.
No, they're usually getting the absolute most out of like their top 4. And I'm with you. I think not only is 8 too many, but 7, in my opinion, is also too many. And I think a constant criticism that I've had, and I know that I'm not alone, I see this all the time from State fans, it has felt in the last couple seasons that the wide receiver rotation is just far too deep. And that being said, it's very difficult for your top 3 to 4 guys to kind of stand out when they're having to share so many reps with all the other guys. And I understand you're trying to get different looks, different matchups, different plays, different sets you're trying to get the most out of. I understand all that. But if you're 10 days away, 9 days away, I want the best 4 guys you got to be well-established. And I know they can't always be well-established, but you better know by game time. You have to know who the top 4 that give us the best chance to win, they need to be on the field the most.
Hello.
And there's another quote from CJ that basically CJ was going to Coach Phillips and basically establishing like, hey, I would like to see more of this person. I would like to see a little bit more of this person. Can we try and cycle in more of this guy? And while I do appreciate that relationship that CJ feels like he can go do that, it's giving me the ick. It's giving me the ick a little bit because I'm like, clearly this is not being established quickly enough. And so when you have like 7 to 8 guys that are basically taking snaps with the ones, it's really hard to establish who your top couple guys are. And we're on the clock. We have a week 0 game that is a must win against UVA. I want the best 4 to 5 guys ready to roll.
Wholeheartedly agree. Again, 4 to 5 is where I would say the sweet spot is. 6, we're like, all right, we're pushing it. 7 or 8, come on, man. Let's be so for real.
And then last quote from Coach Phillips here. He was asked about the relationship between CJ and his high school teammates, if he's noticed that it's been like a real connection. And he said, yes. He said CJ's picked up really quickly with both Chance Robinson, JoJo Trader, bullet back there in the backfield, Davion Goss. He said the chemistry is a real thing. And he kind of noticed that Keenan Jackson as well, being the veteran guy in that room, he's been the most consistent day in, day out, every single day of fall camp. He's been the top receiver in terms of consistency. I know that pleases you, Kenton, but it's not exactly a shock either. He's been here for 3 seasons, spent 2 of those working with CJ now already. We talked about Keenan Jackson on if he can step up and be wide receiver 1. Sounds like he might have the consistency in order to do so.
Hey, summertime and the living is easy, okay? The Dow might be taking a downturn right now, but that Keenan Jackson stock, glad I bought it. For those of you who shorted it, it's time to pay up because I believe in the young man. I think he's going to do some really special things here. And like you said, that consistency, that is where a guy like Keenan Jackson needs. We've already talked about the fact that he's not the guy. Don't expect a bunch of 80-yard bombs to him this year. Don't expect that.
Right.
Don't. But expect a consistent chain mover. Expect a guy that when he runs every route, you know exactly what it's going to look like every single time. A guy that's going to win at the point of the catch as well. That's what to expect. So I'm excited to see what this season has in store for him.
And last disclaimer here, the reason I read any of this is not to cause panic. It's not to, try and squeeze water out of a rock. We're just trying to look at what coaches are saying and what it might mean on a bigger scale come 9 more days here. So just some quick quotes. Let us know what y'all think in the comments from some of these quotes. And coming up next to close out our Thursday show, we were told, I think, 2 weeks ago that seniors that graduated this past season, if they signed an NFL contract of any kind, they would be ineligible to return to college football. That seems at least until Wednesday. More on this after a quick word from our sponsor. Last couple minutes here on Thursday, more eligibility and lawsuit news. Just when you thought we had enough of this for the month of August, couple more to work through here. This came from Pete Nakos of On3 on Wednesday. It says, quote, former James Madison linebacker Trent Hendrick, LSU edge rusher Jack Pyburn, Ole Miss safety Wydett Williams, and SMU running back TJ Harden have been granted a TRO in this lawsuit in Louisiana. Now, these players are players that have signed NFL training camp deals. Jack Pyburn, in particular, he's been signed on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He just played in the most recent Tampa Bay preseason game, and he logged 2 sacks in that game. He's also received signing bonus with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now, as of Wednesday, he can go back to college football. Again, 2 weeks ago, we were told that this would not be allowed because we talked about, hey, Wesley Grimes could maybe return to NC State. And then it was immediately ruled that no, he couldn't. Well, by this, it seems that yes, he could. Kenton, this reversal of a rule we saw 2 weeks ago added chaos 9 days away from kickoff. What do you make of this?
You know who doesn't need a temporary restraining order? Either one of Miami's starting linebackers. Miami starting linebackers are bringing in, and you can look this up if you think I'm lying. It's Mo Toure and I believe it's Cade or Gabe Smith, something along those lines. They're bringing in between 2 players in college football, 14 years of experience. Huh? 14. I've had enough. And this ain't a rebuke of Miami. This is me saying, if you fall outside the parameters that allow 2 guys to get in 14 years, it's just time. It's just time. You're in the NFL. It's time. It's time. Not only are you in the NFL, Grayson, how many days are there before game 1?
There are 9 days until the college football season begins.
They don't have the money for you. They don't have the snaps for you. Go on about your way. Go on. You're already suiting up in NFL games, even if they are preseason. But again, somebody get these beggars out of here.
This feels like the easiest rule that they should be able to enforce. You have signed a professional contract in the NFL or the NBA or the MLB or the NHL. You cannot return to college sports. I don't understand how that can't be established. The NBA instances have been kind of out of control recently, and I was kind of hoping they get a control on that in terms of college football. And again, 2 weeks ago, it seemed like they did. And now immediately there's lawsuits galore. You have an LSU edge rusher last year that has played in a preseason NFL game less than 3 to 4 days ago, and now he can just waltz back to Baton Rouge. It feels like every headline is just trying to one-up the last crazy-ass headline that you saw a couple days ago. How much can we possibly get away with before this next season begins? Something I keep saying when we talk about this is like, I don't know where this will end. I don't know where this will keep going. And then it continues to keep going. I say this again as well. At what point does common sense enter the room? It seems like an endless plea at this point because we keep getting nonsensical BS shoved in our faces. But if you have signed an NFL contract of any kind, go on somewhere. Your time is up. You've already spent 4 to 5 years in college. That is enough. That is enough. And if you need something else to do, Indeed.com. Indeed sponsored jobs. We'll hook you up. We got a promo code for that. Go on somewhere. So we'll see what comes of this. Maybe, who knows at this point, we could have Wesley Grimes back on our roster before we take the bus up to Charlottesville in 9 days. At this point, feels like anything and everything could be on the table. That will do it for us here on Thursday. As always, be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you back here tomorrow on Friday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.